Congressman Mike Waltz of Florida, member of the House Armed Services Committee, former Green Beret, and still serving in the National Guard. What are these good ideas? Because his administration has been marked by handed money out for welfare entitlements and green subsidies, and his closing message to the American people, Congressman, was no more drilling. We must kill coal, and we must accelerate the end of fossil fuels. So what is it Republicans going to get on board with?
Yeah, you know, a couple of things, Dagan, that I'm hopeful. One is let's learn from the mistakes of Ukraine and arm up Taiwan while there's still time. Let's go back to maximum pressure on the Iranian regime and hold them accountable as they're literally shooting schoolgirls in the streets and attacking Americans here at home and overseas. The Iran deal is dead. I mean, there's some things I'm hopeful on, but to your point, he says he wants to work with us, but then he lists an entire litany of things that are untouchable. 9 out of 10 Americans want us to be producing energy here at home. They know it's the biggest driver of inflation. And eventually, I think he'll see it in his self-interest as we head into 2024 to get that under control and to finally stand up to the progressive left that have just put this asinine energy policy on us.
Right, and being the world's swing producer in oil and fossil fuels, which we were, gives us power and control over nations that hate us, like Russia and like Iran. But in terms of funding military initiatives and our Defense Department, Greg Ip wrote this in the Wall Street Journal, and because it puts the $5 trillion in new borrowing out of the Biden administration just in less than 2 years in perspective. Right. To reduce the inflation rate 1 percentage point next year via spending cuts alone would require slashing annual discretionary outlays by about half, $750 billion a year. That is roughly equal to the entire defense budget.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, it's the non-discretionary budget that's going to make the most impact on our debt, and that's going to make the most impact on inflation. And that's Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, and the interest on our debt, which right now is approaching the size of our entire defense budget. That's what we're going to have. That's the reckoning that we're going to have. But we can't take those cuts in defense as China, Russia, Iran, North Korea are all on the march with nuclear weapons.
Congressman, as we wait to see who will control the House, there are reports of drama behind the scenes. GOP Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy trying to cut a deal with the House Freedom Caucus to get the votes that he would need to take over the gavel as Speaker. Virginia Republican Congressman and Freedom Caucus member Bob Good, he is the congressman from my home district, says this: I have not seen the demonstrated fight that we're looking for, so I expect there will be a challenge to him as Speaker candidate. But McCarthy says his record speaks for itself. Listen.
I'm not concerned. Think about this. Since I've been leader for the last 4 years, we've only gained seats. It's the goal of winning the majority. We won the majority. I think I accomplished the goal that we wanted to.
Have you heard from Kevin McCarthy asking for your support? Where does this go?
I have, Dagan, and I fully support Kevin McCarthy for Speaker. Look, we gained 15 seats last time. We didn't gain what we wanted this time, but at the end of the day, we will have the majority. We will see Nancy Pelosi hand off the Speaker's gavel and hopefully retire. And that means we can stop some of this insane agenda from the left through Biden. We can investigate and get to the bottom of things like COVID origin, Afghanistan, the border, and others. And now is the time to unify. I could tell you the Republicans and my constituents that I'm talking to expect us to unify, to get accountability back, and to get these things done. That's what we need to do.
Vice President Kamala Harris is speaking right now at Arlington National Cemetery on this Veterans Day. Just a short time ago, she laid a wreath at the cemetery to commemorate the service and sacrifice of all of our nation's veterans. A new op-ed today says maybe we should treat every day like Veterans Day. The author writing this: there are roughly 18 million living veterans in the United States, about 7% of the population. I wish for all our veterans to feel every day honored, loved, appreciated, not because of what they did or how well they did it, but because they were willing to do it. Please seek out a veteran to thank. It will make their day and yours too. Congressman Waltz, you served in the Army for 26 years as a Green Beret. You earned 4 Bronze Stars. You're now serving in the National Guard. What say you? Would you like somebody coming up to you every day and saying thank you for your service? What would that do for the morale of the whole nation?
I certainly appreciate that, but I'd ask everyone to take an extra step and thank their families. You know, the families truly bear the burden of our sacrifice overseas. And I tell myself every day before I walk into the Capitol, you know, I wear one of these bracelets for a Green Beret that I lost, and I tell myself to be worthy of his sacrifice and so many others. And that's what I'd ask of every American. And I'm thrilled to see so many veterans stepping up to serve again by running for political office. If we were willing to die for that flag, then we'll be willing to take the tough compromises, take the tough votes, and move our republic forward.
What about the problem with recruitment by our armed forces? How worrisome is that in your mind?
Well, I can tell you it's a top agenda of mine to get this wokeness, get these distractions out of our military. We need to be a meritocracy, and we need to be focused on winning the nation's wars. It's about standards, not gender, race, religion, or any of that. In the foxhole, that never matters. And I can tell you what, for the enemy's bullets, the enemy doesn't care. So we're going to get that out, and I promise every veteran that's a top agenda. We need to be encouraging people to step up and serve. Because otherwise we can never take our freedoms for granted. They will have to be defended. Just look at what the chairman of the Chinese Communist Party is saying about replacing the American dream with the China dream. That's not a world I want our kids or grandkids growing up in.
I always say this, we are the land of the free because we're the home of the brave. Congressman Waltz,
yes,
thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Then and now, always.